In the great game of power, you have to assume that every move you make is being watched, and every word you say is being analyzed. But what if your most powerful weapon, the one that could win you the game before it even really starts, is the one thing your opponents can't see? Today, we're diving deep into the power of concealing your true intentions.
So let me ask you this. Is your strategy an open book? Do the people around you, at work, in negotiations, maybe even in your personal life, do they know exactly what you're thinking and what you're going to do next? If the answer is yes, then you're not just being transparent. You're giving away your single greatest advantage.
And that leads us right into what I call the predictability trap. We're always told that being open and transparent is a virtue. But in the world of strategy, being an open book can be a massive weakness. It's just human nature, isn't it? Most of us are open books by default. It's just easier to say what we feel, to talk about our big plans and opinions. It actually takes a real, conscious effort to hold back, which is why being transparent is our factory setting. And you can see the two types of players right here. You've got the open book. They're predictable, their moves are easy to counter, and honestly, they're not really respected or feared. But then you have the unreadable player. They're a mystery. They seem to be in total control, and that inspires this potent mix of fear and respect. Power, well, it rarely flows to people who are easy to figure out. So how do you escape this trap? How do you become unreadable? Well, the antidote is a core principle of strategy, and it's laid out perfectly in Robert Greene's third law of power. Law 3, conceal your intentions. The idea is simple, but it's incredibly profound. You keep people off balance. You keep them in the dark by never, ever revealing the true purpose behind what you're doing. You basically learn to create a strategic fog that other people just can't see through. This quote from Greene really nails the strategic heart of the law. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. See, this isn't about being aggressive. It's about neutralizing your opponent's ability to even react. You guide them down a path that you choose, and by the time they see where you're really headed, it's already over. But why does this work so well? I mean, it sounds simple, but what's the secret sauce? To understand that, we have to look at the psychology behind the smokescreen and how it really exploits our basic human instincts. This law works because it hacks a fundamental shortcut in our brains. We are wired to trust appearances. We tend to accept what we see as reality because, let's face it, constantly doubting everything around us is mentally exhausting. Law 3 takes that natural instinct for mental ease and turns it into a seriously powerful strategic tool. So let's break down the psychological weak spots this law plays on. First, as we said, people generally trust what they see and hear. Second, being suspicious all the time is draining, so we naturally let our guard down. And third, and this one's big, brutal honesty isn't always seen as a good thing. A lot of the time, it just comes off as an attack, offending people and making enemies you didn't need to have. Okay, theory is one thing, but to see this law in action performed by a true master, we have to turn to history. Specifically to one of the greatest political survivors of all time, Napoleon's minister Charles Maurice de Talleyrand. I want you to picture the scene, the imperial court of Napoleon Bonaparte. This place was a total snake pit of ambition. Every single courtier was scheming, spying, and plotting to get ahead. In an environment like that, revealing your true intentions wasn't just a mistake, it could be fatal. So here's what Talleyrand did, and it was brilliant. He mastered the art of false sincerity. He'd pull a rival aside and share an apparent secret, some piece of gossip or a minor plan that was totally unimportant. This fake confidence made the other person feel special, feel trusted, which then prompted them to reveal a real secret in return. So, what was the results? Well, while all his rivals were busy chasing these decoys and acting on completely bogus information, Talleyrand's real goals were completely hidden. He operated in the shadows, quietly guiding events and building his power, while everyone else was lost in the smoke he had created. Okay, so that's a great history lesson. But how do we take this from the courts of Napoleon and actually apply it in our world today? Let's build a practical toolkit for using Law 3. The art of the smokescreen really boils down to 3 key moves. First, you dangle a decoy, a false goal for people to focus on. Second, you talk and talk and talk about your desires and goals, just not your real ones. This makes you look open and honest while completely masking your true aim. And finally, you practice false sincerity. When you seem to believe your own decoy, you make it almost irresistible for others to believe it too. So here's a simple cheat sheet. Cultivate a poker face, that bland, unreadable expression that hides what you're really thinking. Send out ambiguous signals that keep people guessing. Now, what to avoid? The biggest traps are revealing your plans out of sheer vanity, that little ego boost you get from showing off how clever you are, and that brutal, unstrategic honesty that just creates resistance.
And when you start to master these techniques, when you really get this right, you unlock the ultimate payoff, the incredible power of ambiguity.
Now, let's be really clear about something. This isn't about being deceptive just for the fun of it. It's a powerful strategy for both defense and offense. It's about protecting your plans from being sabotaged, and it's about guiding events toward the outcome you want, all without creating the friction and the conflict that being direct so often does. So the final takeaway is this. When you conceal your intentions, you're not really lying. You are controlling the narrative. And the person who controls the narrative, the one who controls what information gets revealed and when, that's the person who holds the real power. Because at the end of the day, if you've guided them far enough down the wrong path and you've surrounded them with enough smoke, by the time they finally realize your true intentions, it will be too late.